first level.
Cool. Awesome. All right, everyone, this is Titanfall 2. It is a really sick speed game. It has some pretty interesting movement techniques. We have a wall run, we have a double jump, and if it's based on the modified version of the Source engine. So there's a lot of similar techniques to Source runs, like air strafing, bunny hopping, things like that. So if you've seen, it's not quite as intense as something like Half-Life 2 with ABH, but there are some pretty cool techniques in here. This is the first level of the game. It is your generic run-of-the-mill, military shooter tutorial mission. We're going to be introduced to the movement mechanics, and right off the bat, we're going to see the single most important technique used in the run. So whenever you have any amount of speed and you hold crouch on the ground, you'll do a slide. And so what that's going to allow Albino to do here is to keep his momentum going indefinitely by building up speed, holding crouch, and then jumping over and over and over again. So this is called slide hopping. We have to wait for Lastimosa to stop talking there before we can wall run. And now we have access to our double jump. And so you'll see Albino is kind of weaving back and forth as he jumps. That's taking advantage of air strafing. And air strafing is based on the concept that you move faster and go farther when you're moving at like a curve through the air and holding left and right as opposed to holding straight. A little skip here called reload skip. Normally you'd have to wait to reload this rifle here, but if we press reload with the pistol and then grab the gun, we skip the reload animation. It saves a few seconds. So what's going to happen here is a technique that's only accessible in this part of the game. This is called frag boosting. Wow, that was good. Oh, what a sick frag boost! Okay, so you basically let the grenade explode in your hand. These are some really good frag boosts. And oops, calculated. And as you can see, it gives you a huge amount of speed. If we do that at any other part of the game, you do just die instantly, if you have it explode in your hand like that. So that was a really good gauntlet.
We're actually going to restart the gauntlet to skip some of Captain Lastimosa's dialogue here and go straight into talking to him, because throughout the run we will be talking to characters in the way that is the shortest dialogue option. Yeah,
basically we only talk to people when it benefits us, and that includes the lovable robot that we'll meet later on called BT. But yeah, that was a really solid gauntlet. Generally speaking, this level can be pretty unforgiving, just because frag boosting is a very finicky trick. But all that said, that was really well done. It is possible sometimes to go too fast from the exit of the gauntlet to the re-entry, and Lastimosa just won't skip his dialogue. So I think that was like a sub-20 gauntlet too, right? Was that a 19-second one?
I think it was a 21.
21. Okay. Either way, really solid. Anyway, so yeah, that's the first mission. The rest of it is just kind of dialogue and Lastimosa talking to us. So I guess we can talk a bit about kind of what the plot to this game is. So it's a sci-fi military shooter. A lot of people will look at it and kind of write it off as like COD with mechs, but that's really like as far from the truth as it could be. You play as Jack Cooper. He's a member of the militia. They're a force that's rebelling against the IMC, or the Interstellar Manufacturing Corporation. They're just kind of this big conglomerate that goes to all these outer-lying planets in the galaxy and just reaps them of all their resources and drives their inhabitants off the planet. So we're fighting back against them. We'll actually see Anderson later on. And then this last guy coming up here. There's lots of foreshadowing and lots of little nods to sections later on in the game in here. Respawn did a really good job with that.
Yeah, such as when we first came out of the pod, we saw Lastimosa fiddling with BT's eye, and much later on in the game, that will play a major role.
Yeah, we're playing on easy, just because it's easiest to go fast on easy. Not to say the game is easy on easy, or at least the speedrun, rather. And so coming up here, this is the second mission of the game. It's called BT-7274, named after the Titan that we'll be introduced to here. The militia is checking out a research establishment on the planet, or a research base on the planet of Typhon. And what they find is they kind of bit off more than they can chew. One of their main ships gets shot down, and we're going to end up behind enemy lines here. So this is the opening cutscene to the game. This mission is really hard from a speedrunning perspective. We crash land behind enemy lines in a really kind of rocky area. There's lots of weird geometry, lots of weird terrain. It's one of the hardest missions in the game, if not the hardest, and it comes right at the start, so there's always lots of resets here in my runs. And actually, it's kind of speaking on foreshadowing, you can see the main location that we're going to at the end of the game in the background there, that little circular, like, circular building, because I don't know what I want to call that. I can't think of the word. But anyway, that's kind of like our end goal of the game. So there's little nods like that all over.
And there are also nods to Respawn's previous game, Titanfall 1, throughout this level as well, such as the fact that your ship is called the James McCallan, and that was one of the primary players in the story mode for Titanfall.
So we probably have a time for like one donation before we get started here?
Yeah, one donation.
All right, we've got $10 from Anonymous, who said, SGDQ is just awesome. I'm watching it every moment I can. Keep doing that great job.
So we're going to actually, we have to go fast at the starting section. We don't have our jump kit, which is what pilots use to slide hops, but we can still slide hop for some reason. We have to go fast here to beat out this, let me see if he gets it. Okay, you made it. Okay. You hear all that crashing and stuff behind him. Basically, an escape pod just crash landed right behind him. And normally, casually, you would wait for that to crash land in front of you. But we can actually go fast enough to beat it out. And if we make just even one mistake, we die to it. So this is the Titanfall 2 is a near perfect speed game, except for the amount of dialogue and cutscenes we have to wait for. And this is the first of which. This is the infamous 18-hour cutscene named after some of the dialogue in here. This is kind of a better introduction to Lastimosa and BT, his Titan. And we're going to meet our main enemies in the game too, the Apex Predators. Apex Predators are a group of mercenaries that just always kind of work for the highest bidder, and in this case they're working for the IMC. For what reason, we don't know yet. So. And while this plays out, I would say we have plenty of time for donations. I would say we have 18 hours for them.
Oh, absolutely.
We've got $25 from Dembones the Fourth, who said, I'm so hyped for an Angry Albinos Titanfall 2 run. I can't wait to see the ludicrous speed slide hops and chat Bible thumping over Marvin. Take my money, spare the Marvin, love the Marvin, fight for the Marvin, be the Marvin. Also, don't forget what Big Brother Legion says, aggressive sustained counterfire.
Yeah, I would say Spare the Marvin is winning pretty heavily in the bid war right now. He's looking like he's going to be saved.
Indeed, it's true. Be quite the come from behind. We also had $25 from Snowdrift, who said, had to donate during the most overlooked game of 2016, Titanfall 2. Love this game. Glad to see it being ran at SGDQ. Need to work on my slide hops so I can pick up the pace.
Let's pick up the pace. Yeah, for real. So, coming up here, we have another cutscene after this, but this is kind of a Lastimosa's last moments here. These creatures here, they're called prowlers. They don't play too big of a role on the run. They just kind of get in the way, more or less. They're not really important. So. Oh, that body, by the way, that you just saw go down the river, it disappears. It's pretty spooky. Anyway, so Lastimosa's about to die, fortunately for us. He normally just talks and slows us down, so it'll be good to finally be rid of him.
Yeah.
But speaking within the Titanfall universe, what's about to happen is a really big deal. You know, Cooper is just your run-of-the-mill soldier. He's nothing special. And a Titan pilot in the Titanfall universe is the best of the best, the elite. And so Lastimosa is transferring his jump kit and his Titan over to Cooper, which it's basically like, taking somebody off the street and saying, hey, you're on SEAL Team 6. It's a big deal. Something that never happens.
Yeah. Particularly rare about this is because pilot training is extremely dangerous. In the previous game, it was established that 98% of pilots trained actually die in their training.
Yeah, it's a big deal. So this is where the run really starts. There's been a lot of stop and go. From now on, for a while at least, it's going to be just all go. So we only have access to one jump right now. Our jump kit is calibrating. There's lots of software and stuff like that within pilot helmets and their jump kits. So here we go, to say the least. So right at the start, we're going to be picking up the EVA 8 shotgun. This is a very important weapon to our run, and fortunately for us, it's right here in our path, so that's pretty nice. We have access to our wall run. We're going to be going really fast, and because of that, enemies are going to be right in front of us, and so I would hope it's obvious why a shotgun is important in this situation. It's a automatic shotgun, decent fire rate, really high damage. And so this level has actually undergone a lot of changes in terms of the route in the past few months. This whole game has, actually. I mean, when we submitted the run, the record was a 132.55, and now, even in just a few months, the record has gone all the way down to 126.45, and that's thanks to big optimizations on levels like this. Not big optimizations, just a bunch of little ones. That was a really nice grunt slide. When you basically, if you land on top of an enemy, you don't have any friction, and you just kind of slide. You skate on them. This section right here is really difficult. It's called Death River. Fortunately, it was a little sloppy going over there, but Albino handled it well enough. There's just lots of weird rocks and geometry that we can get nicked on, and we only have one jump, so it's really easy to fall into that pit there.
Though thankfully we are about to get our double jump, so there will be a little bit of a safety for the future jumps we're about to start making.
Right. And every time that you see Albino going in a curve around a corner, that's because he is air strafing. You can't do these like really tight curves with slide hops like this unless you're air strafing. I mean, there's a lot of inputs going into every single action, or into every single turn he's doing here. So that was a solid first battery. We have to retrieve 2 batteries to recharge BT. Titans in this game run off battery power, oddly enough, and we need 2 of them for BT, which is kind of interesting. Most Titans only need 1, but BT is a very special class of Titan.
In the lore of the universe, the Vanguard class, which is what BT is actually far more advanced than any regular Titan.
Yeah. And so we have to clear these 3 grunts out before we can install the battery. Nicely done. That was really good. We just cook a grenade and plop down around that rock and then kill all 3 of them. So this is one of those optimizations I was talking about. This is called River Jump. This is going to skip a pretty significant portion here and save us about, I would say, around 8 seconds. Nice, and that was pretty good. There's a little invisible staircase we had to climb right there, so that's pretty cool. Oh, nice save.
That was close.
That was definitely close. Yeah, one of the more frustrating parts about this level is there's a lot of areas where you just can't grab the wall for whatever reason. I thought that was one of them, but fortunately for us, it was not. So what we're going to be using here is a technique called wall kicks. Wall kicks, I believe I think it's a 3-frame window. I always forget the exact number. Of when you touch the wall, you can press space to jump off of it. And when you do, you get a good speed boost. And so if we chain together multiple wall kicks, we can just gain a lot of speed going through that section. That's where some of the biggest time saves is.
Yeah, it's essentially when you first grab a wall, your pilot's hand moves down to touch it, and while your hand is moving, if you jump off of it, you'll almost always get the perfect wall jump.
Yeah, there is a pretty nice animation that kind of gives you a visual cue. These grunts are not being nice to us.
And another thing about this is, with having to hold down crouch and there being a slide mechanic, we actually, if we're going to be running against upraised slopes, we want to be careful to disable our crouch beforehand, because we'll otherwise be caught in a slide and we'll actually lose all of our momentum.
Right, yeah, you can't grab the wall while holding crouch here, so yeah, it's a very conscious effort you have to make to let go of it. We're just going to mash space here to slide through here.
Sometimes if your jump kit fires in here, instead of it pushing you up, it will push you forward because you don't have any room to go up.
Right. And again, that was a decent second battery, a pretty good BT overall. I would be happy with this in a run. We're going to use some of the momentum from the slide there to carry that into this last fight before we put the second battery back in BT. Got caught up on that rock. This is so frustrating.
Bad frag, bad frag.
That's okay. We got one more. All right, there we go. So now we're going to put the final battery back in BT and establish a neural link with him. So we got a short little break coming up here. It's probably good to take a couple donations.
Tron Travolta donated $5 a bit ago.
Hey, Tron.
Hey, Tron.
He knew what was up with the last cutscene. 18 hours? 18 hours until this cutscene is over. So hype. My boys are finally up there running Titanfall 2 Pog Jam.
Shout outs to Tron Javolta. He is the top console runner in this game. He's one of my homies. Thanks for the donation, man.
Protocol 1. Link to Violence.
We also had $50 from Anonymous, but someone from the LPR community said, my good friend Albino's running Titanfall 2, so I had to come say hi and donate some money to the cause. Everyone at LPR is watching and rooting for you. Donation to your choice.
Thanks, man.
Protocol 2. Uphold the mission.
So we're gonna get introduced to Titan mechanics here. This is just your basic Titan tutorial. So every Titan in this game, there are different loadouts that we'll have access to that we can swap through at will. This first one just has what's called the Vortex Shield. If you guys have seen District 9, this was actually directly inspired by one of the abilities that mech has at the end of District 9, where basically it captures enemy bullets and can shoot it back at them. And there's actually some splash damage attached to the bullets that we're shooting back, so it allows us to clear huge waves of enemies. Pretty nice. And this section is determined on how fast you kill these things. So, I mean, parts of it are on rails, but the rest is just, oh, that's frustrating. Those drones can be so finicky with those Acolyte pods. So the Acolyte pod is just your basic lock-in fire shoulder-mounted rocket. Not a lot to speak about it there. Now we have to, before we can advance to the next part, we have to kill these set of Spectres here. If there's one or two of them left on the top of the ridge there, it's fine.
The way it seems to work in the game is that if there are certain background noises going on, it will prevent important dialogue from starting.
Yeah. So here's our first Titan fight of the game. We can make pretty quick work of this guy. We're going to lay down our electric smoke for some damage over time.
And now just going to block his way out.
Yeah, pop his Vortex Shield, lock him in place, Acolyte pod, and he's dead. Good job. So now we have to wait here for just a second. We have to wait for BT to stop talking. Our waypoint is going to be right down that little tunnel there, but if we start walking now, it's going to put it on the other side of the level. So we wait for BT to say that, and we're good to go. So that was an excellent BT. I mean, obviously, you know, we had our little hang-ups there, but that was really good. So coming up here is Blood and Rust. This is probably the second hardest level in the game in terms of playing it optimally. Right at the start, we have BT into Blood and Rust, and it's just, they're two really difficult levels. There's lots of very tight sections, really difficult movement. Right at the start, though, we're going to be doing, it's just a big Titan run, so this is kind of a time to chill out after BT before we have to get going again. So this is what we're making use of here is just optimal Titan movement. Optimal Titan movement is that we always want to have a boost charging. So you can see that little meter at the bottom of the screen. That's a Titan boost, and as long as we always have one of those charging, we're not losing any time or speed. We also want, or actually, we're going to go for a tone slide here. If we play this right, we can slide right up the top of this guy's head. Not quite. Okay, he walked backwards. He wasn't very nice to us. That's okay. It's not a big time loss at all. So we want to use boosts when we're going off of ledges to keep our momentum for longer. And when we go around sharp corners, BT is kind of heavy, so he tends to throw his weight around corners and slide, and we can counteract that with boosts. So we just got access to Tone. That's probably the most important Titan to this run. He has very good sustained DPS. So coming up here is a trick called Disembark Jump. It's very finicky. If we hold jump right as we're disembarking from BT, we can launch ourselves. Okay, we didn't quite get it. The timing on that is so hard. And it's not a huge time save anyway, but it is a neat little trick. If we hold jump while we're getting out of BT, we can actually launch ourselves up. That trick, for me and I think for a lot of runners, kind of comes and goes. The timing on that is so finicky.
Yeah, it's like a few frames right as you start to see the hatch for your Titan to open up is when you can do it.
Yeah. All right, and so here we go. This is where this level gets really hard. Little head bonk there, that's fine. We're going to be making use of wall kicks, air strafes, pretty much everything in our arsenal to get through here. Nice wall kick.
What we have here, my IMC.
We're going to hear Kane over the voice comms. He's going to be the first boss that we fight. Woo, that was close. Nicely done. And so this is Sniper Canal. Normally the game wants us to go right there and fight through a bunch of snipers. We can actually just jump across, got to avoid those circles on the left side there, and just slide hop to victory all the way over here. And this was actually an intended area for us to get to. There's a little Easter egg on the left side there. Not that we have time to look at it. Coming up here is another really difficult section. Nicely done. So that is way harder than it looks. Getting through that hallway without hitting any barrels or walls or anything, we call that clean hallways, is very difficult. Only the really good runners to do that. And that right there, that's like the albino special running off the inside of the door like that. It could be, the timing on that's pretty difficult, but that was well done.
Yeah, and the reason that we actually do that is because when you're wall running and in midair, enemy accuracy is slightly lesser, and those red laser guns these big robot guys have actually push your character backwards and slow you down.
Right, and that was really good. Okay, so that was grunt hallways. That section can be pretty random just based on the positioning of enemies. It's pretty easy to get locked up on them, but that was well done. Overall, a decent blend of rest so far. Nice, good pipe climb. So coming up here, this is one of the biggest skips in the game in terms of time save. This is called sludge skip. We're going to be using specific dialogue options when talking to BT. You can see BT behind the fence there. We want to keep him there so we can actually skip a huge fight with a bunch of waves of enemies. So we're going to come up here, press this button, and talk to BT at a certain time. Got it. We got it. Nice job, dude. So now we're just going to get in BT. We have to wait for him to stop talking, otherwise we crash to main menu. And we're good. All right, so that was sludge skip. Normally you have to fight waves and waves of enemies right there, and lots of little explosive mines that are walking around called ticks. We were able to skip all of that. I mean, over the casual route, that's probably like a 5 or 6 minute time save. It can be very difficult. If BT stops talking before we get to him, he'll actually walk away from the fence, and it's a huge time loss. So this is our first boss fight of the game. This is Cane Fight. Cane Fight is pretty straightforward. We're going to be using Tone. Just to deal damage, really good sustained damage. He has, for every shot that we get on Kane, we'll be able to build a missile lock, and once we build 3 missile locks, we can launch a barrage of missiles. So we also want to try and shoot him in the center where his crit spot is, that little red dot, and we want to play around his flame shield, which is an ability that will block all incoming damage, depending on the direction he's facing. We're going to be using what's called loadout swapping to reload our weapon. So it's actually faster to switch to our other Titan loadout and then switch back to Tone. It's about a half second faster than normal reloading, so it builds up it saves a lot of time over time. And that was a good Cane fight. That was a solid Cane fight. So Cane was the first of the Apex Predators that we will that we'll have to take care of, or that we took care of. We still have a few more to go. And we're gonna go ahead and take his communicator there, put it in our helmet, and now we get to hear everything that's going on with the enemies. So, technology. Anyway, now we have a while to wait before the next level. Let's say around a minute. So we got time for some donations.
Yeah, definitely. Time for like 2 or 3 donations.
Nice. Julian donated $200 and merely left a heart. Thank you. Also, Metro donated $20 and said, I woke up and looked at the time to see that I could make it to Super Hot, but when I got here, it just finished. So I decided to stay for Titanfall 2. Not disappointed.
Good, yeah.
Glad to get a front row seat, literally. So, hello, Metro. Forgot. Audience interaction game on point. And then we have $10 from Blisk, who says, you kill Marvin, you're better. I kill Marvin, I'm better.
Blisk is the head Apex Predator. He's one of my favorite characters in the game. So coming up here, this is the beginning of Into the Abyss. This is the first level that is split into 3 chapters. Chapter 1 is pretty straightforward. It is just optimal Titan movement, like I was explaining before. When we go off ledges, when we go around sharp corners. Words are hard. We're going to be introduced to Ash, and Ash is pretty cool. We don't actually fight her. We get to skip her, fortunately. Well, that's later on, but lore-wise, she's pretty cool. Ash is a simulacrum, which basically means she has the consciousness of a previous elite pilot that was transferred basically into the body of an android. And so there's a lot of simulacrums in the Titanfall universe, but Ash is one of the elites.
Yeah, running around levels as a pilot, you'll actually see enemy simulacrums, and they'll typically be higher level enemies that either will spawn in little drones or will just have more powerful weapons than your regular AI.
So coming up here, we just picked up Scorch. Scorch is another important Titan to this run, one of the 3 important ones. He has a Flame Shield, which does a ton of damage. It blocks all incoming damage and does really high DPS to any enemy right in front of him. He has Flame Traps, which we can ignite on fire with his main weapon and with his Q, which lays down like a line of fire. And so what we're going to do here is we have to clear these 3 Titans to get through this door. So what we're going to do is switch to Scorch, and then lay down 2 Flame Traps, light them on fire, Flame Shield, and then use his core just for good measure, or maybe not. Okay, dude, just swag on him. Well done. So that was door clear. That was really, really good. That section can be pretty random depending on how Titans move, but Albino dealt with it very well. So coming up here, we're just going to go ahead in here and press a button which will activate the trigger to load into the next level. Albino throws a grenade here just for consistency to kill some of these Brents.
And also because grenades are fun.
And also because grenades are fun. Yeah, some of them can survive.
And it looks like we are going to get the most based of crates.
Yeah, thank you, base crate. Yeah, if we get there at the right time, the crate can actually launch us down. So after we press that button, there's actually no kill plane for the floor there, so we can just fall all the way to the bottom. It's pretty sick. So this is Into the Abyss Chapter 2. This level has a lot of history in this run. It's kind of an enigma. It's really fast. Albino cloaks there so we can see the crates past him, so he doesn't get knocked up on him, because this section is really fast. Nice. And we're going to be using wall kicks here.
Yeah, and the thing is, right there, we're actually going to purposely slow down so we can get the perfect angle for going in here.
Yes. Now coming up here, we have a really cool trick called platform launch. Basically, what's going to happen is we're inside a huge assembly line. We don't really understand what the IMC is building here, but we're going to take advantage of it. So this platform is going to launch forward. We're going to use the momentum from it to basically skip this a pretty large gap. The timing for it is pretty precise. If we don't get it, it's okay. I'll explain that later. But this is a pretty cool trick if we can get it. I think nice.
We got it.
Nice, dude. Good job. Yeah, that's a pretty cool looking trick. And then we're not done yet. We have another big skip coming up. This is crane skip.
There may be a common exit. I recommend you follow the flow of the
So how this works is when you jump off of a wall at the far edge, you actually get the same speed boost as you do with a wall kick. And then if you combine that with air strafing and properly timing your double jump, you can actually cross that gap much earlier than you're supposed to. Normally, you're supposed to wait for a lot of houses to be built and all that, and just keep up.
Yeah, and that's called edge boosting. It is a pretty niche trick. We don't use it a whole lot, but when we do, it's very useful, like right there. So now we didn't make it to that platform. That's okay. We're going to be able to catch up to it pretty easy. We just got to avoid these ticks here. They're pretty much the only real thing that's of a real danger to us on easy difficulty. Albino's going to get lined up, and then we're going to launch across the platform here.
Because, yeah, every time anything is moving, if you push yourself off of it in the same direction that it's moving...
Oh, okay, that's fine. We got a good checkpoint.
Yeah, we got pretty much a perfect checkpoint,
Yeah.
it looks like there, right before we launch ourselves.
Yeah.
Just
Cool.
play it a
Nicely
little
done.
bit safe.
And just as a disclaimer, speaking of checkpoints, the checkpoints in this game are very brutal, and there's a lot of difficult tricks that we're going to be doing that if we miss them would theoretically cost us, upwards of 2 to 3 minutes. So we do have a custom config file that has quick saves enabled. That's just so if we do miss some of these really big tricks, we don't lose 2 or 3 minutes of time or more. So just as a disclaimer, normally in a normal run that wouldn't be allowed, but for the sake of marathon safety, we do have those enabled, and we're going to be we do have one of them lined up for a trick that's coming up after this. So basically, all that cool stuff we just did doesn't even matter because this is an auto-scroller. Surprise. It's one of the coolest auto-scrollers I've ever seen, personally. But basically, this assembly line, we're tied to how fast this final platform moves. And so we've beaten the final platform to this last section of the map here. And now we just have to... Oh, God, I thought you were going to get crushed. So now we just have to ride it to this final little climb here. But yeah, for the longest time, we actually didn't know this level was an auto-scroller. And I know Albino and I would just spend hours and hours and hours grinding out all these tough skips. And And we found out it doesn't matter as long as we get to this platform here. So basically, your time on this level is determined by, did you make it to the last platform, which is really easy. Did you die, which we did, but it may have cost us like 4 or 5 seconds at the very most. And then how fast do you do this climb coming up at the very end. So we have a pretty difficult jump and climb coming up. And as you can see, we haven't got a checkpoint for a while, so if we were to die on it, we would go back all the way before that big fight. So this is one of the reasons we have quick saves enabled. Anyway, so we're going to make use of what's called wall jump laddering here. How wall mechanics work in this game is you can't jump on the same angled surface twice. So unless there's an angle, 2 walls that are like right next to each other, or at a 90-degree angle, you can just kind of ladder between them really fast. So we're going to make use of that here. So coming up here, this is called tree hop, named for the tree that we hop off of. Or one of the 2 tricks in this game called tree hop. So here we go. Nice! Well done. That is such a difficult jump. Getting that first try is, in a run is very good. So normally we'd have to wait for the platform that we were riding on to put us in the right spot to move up. But actually we can just climb up early here. And these walls can be really finicky. But we're going to try and ladder between them like that. Well done.
And yeah,
we got it.
It's a lot easier to showcase in like a corner like this where it's just corner to corner.
Yeah. Anyway, that was a good dome climb. That trick is very scary, and it's definitely a run killer. So that was really nicely done. So coming up here, this is one of the first of 2 out-of-bounds skips in the game, one of the only 2 out-of-bounds skips. So this is called dome skip. Normally, similar to sludge skip, this would be an area where we would have to fight waves and waves of enemies. But thanks to a hint from a dev, we actually do this differently than we used to. This little wall right here, we can just walk right through it, and I'll let Albino explain the mechanics of it.
Yeah. Well, one reason we were able to so quickly figure out which part of the wall it was that we saw that these tile lines on it are actually different from all the other tiles. So if we walk up here and just crouch through,
just walk through it,
we're out of bounds.
Yeah, we used to do this like completely differently, and it took way longer. But yeah, now we're completely out of the dome. We might be able to climb on top of it. We get a pretty nice view. There's normally a way easier way to go across here, but yeah, we just get a nice little view.
See the combat area we would have had to go through being constructed.
Yeah, so you want to explain what exactly is working on here mechanically?
All right, so mechanically, in a moment, the lights are going to go out. Now, it would then turn back on, and it would look like you're in the same spot, but you're actually being teleported to an alternate geo where instead of all of the movement areas we went through, it would actually be spawning in a combat area that also included the end of level trigger. So we have been essentially teleported into the end of level trigger.
Yeah, so that was dome skip. It's a huge time save. Really, really cool. So coming up here, this is the final chapter of Into the Abyss, and I would say arguably the hardest one. This is kind of like a hidden boss of the run. It's really short and kind of forgettable, but I mean, there's so many things here that can go wrong and cost you a lot of time. We're going to sprint here on purpose to kind of reset our slide timer. I'll get back to that in a sec.
We need to hit this button so that this cylinder will turn.
Yeah. Nice. Okay, that was really good. So that was called cylinder skip. It's very difficult. Normally we'd have to wait for that thing to rotate all the way around and then do some precise platforming. But if we go fast enough, we can just get inside of it and then just kind of sit in it while it rotates around. It's a pretty decent time save. I'd say around 10 seconds. This section here is called Caverns, aka the bane of Albino's existence. There's lots of weird
rocks.
Lots of weird rocks and stuff. Yeah, I mean, getting through there cleanly is very hard. We're going to jump across the gap here. Nice. Then we'll get back in BT. So now we're finally back to BT. We got lucky there. Sometimes he can be doing a execution animation on one of the prowlers, and it costs us a little bit of time. We're going to try and skate on the prowlers there. Good job. And if we get lucky, we'll get a damage boost from one of these Titans. Nice, not being nice. That's fine. So coming up here, we used to have to fight Ash, but thanks to Taskanos, you're going to hear his name a lot. He's done so much stuff for this run.
He is our resident game breaker.
Yeah, he's our resident game breaker. He just finds all this crazy stuff. We're going to be skipping Ash. Ash fight was really random and really difficult, and now we're going to be using the second out-of-bounds skip in the game to skip it. So we're going to use the flight ability on this Titan loadout to get up here. We're going to wedge ourselves past this pipe. We're going to disembark from BT. The screen's going to look crazy. We're going to get back in BT. Now we're going to wait for a flight to recharge. Fly. And then we have to be careful because the trigger for Ash fight... Oh! gosh. Okay, my heart. All right, the trigger for Ash Fight is literally, excuse me, literally inches to our right.
Yeah, essentially we're walking the razor edge between a 20-second boss spawn cutscene and falling to our demise.
Yeah. So now we're going to do the same thing here. We're going to line up against an invisible wall, disembark, clip both Cooper and BT out of the level, get back in BT, and we're home free. So that was Ash skip. For being an out-of-bounds skip, it is extremely precise. I wouldn't say it's as hard as maybe Foundry skip in Doom 2016, but it's you have to maneuver that pretty carefully. And so that skip's a really difficult, tough fight. And so now we're out of the abyss. I always say it's not a real run till we're out of the abyss. So that was we're in a good spot right now. I'd imagine time-wise, it's been a good run.
Yeah. Now would probably be a good time to read a donation.
Yeah.
All right, we have $10 from Jack Narick, who said, "Good luck, Albino. It's been amazing following the progress of this run. Here's to an amazing run to show off how cool this game is."
Thank you.
And so this level is probably the coolest level to play casually. As you can see, there's something not quite right with the flow of time here. So this is the research facility that we've been trying to get to for the entirety of the game so far, and this is why the militia came to the planet of Typhon. They wanted to see what exactly was going on here, and so you can already see like something is amiss as soon as we're in here. Fun fact: that guy talking to our left was the leader of the IMC, but we don't have our guns, so we can't shoot him, unfortunately. Coming up here is another trick found by Taskanos. This is called Rock Boost. It's pretty finicky, but if we can land in the right spot, we'll get a big speed boost based on sliding off this rock. Okay, and so we didn't get it. That's okay. Rock Boost is so cool. It's one of my favorite tricks, but being able to land on that rock at the right angle is difficult, to say the least. I mean, you can see he landed on a pretty sharp angle surface there, but he still didn't get any boost and actually stopped him in his tracks. The difference of getting and losing Rock Boost is probably around 3 seconds, so it's not the biggest time loss ever. Oh, and so we found Anderson. That's Anderson. He's like stuck through the floor or something.
He's having a bad day.
There's been lots of theory crafting on how exactly he got put in that position. Nobody really knows. Logically, it doesn't make sense, but he's there. So we took his helmet, and like I said before, pilot helmets have lots of software and data stored in them, so we're going to give it to BT, and he's going to scan it and figure out what's going on here. And so now we have I'd say about a minute and a half. We have to wait around again. So that would be a great time for donations.
Yeah, we probably got time for 4 donations right now.
All right, a lot of praise coming in for Runner and Couch. Templar Trace donated $50 and said, "Loving the commentary on this Titanfall 2 run, and I love the game. Good luck on the run. Spare the Marvin, even if that costs time." Also, Thordorus with $100, thank you, said, "Titanfall 2 is my favorite game from last year. Love seeing this game played the way it's meant to be played." And we have a $20 donation from Marth, who said, "Hi Byron, Hunter here. It's so cool seeing you on the couch and Titanfall at a GDQ. I just thought I'd chime in with my obligatory roo-roo. Also, I will donate $10 more if someone gets this beautiful man on the couch some nice crunch carrots."
Oh my gosh.
You can explain that reference.
There's a meme. Okay, so there's a meme on my stream. Sometimes my lovely wife Kathy will bring me carrots or something while I'm eating, and I normally mute my mic, but now whenever I eat carrots, everybody in my stream really wants to hear me chew for some reason. I don't know why, but it's like an ASMR type thing. It's an ASMR thing. I don't know, but anyway, that's where that comes from. So thank you, Hunter. You mispronounced my name in front of hundreds of thousands of people. I appreciate that, dude. Everyone calls me Byron, but my name is Brian.
Right, Brian.
It wasn't you. It was Hunter. He's trolling me.
Nice. Maybe next time you can throw me.
More foreshadowing there. Anyway, so now the level's kind of finally picking back up. So coming up here, we have some pretty new tech, actually. Albino has really been kind of working this out. This trick coming up here is called Faster Than Time. So we're going to be crossing this bridge, and there's lots of weird... Basically, there's lots of weird... We're going to be hitting a lot of triggers really, really fast on the bridge, and we have to be in a certain place at a certain time for each trigger, not to soft lock, basically. And so we're going to see if we can get it here. Good.
Normally we have to wait beyond that door, but we can actually do this, and if I can get in the exact right position, which I did not this time, we can actually go across there and skip waiting a lot.
Yeah, we're going to give this a couple tries just because it's so cool if we do get it.
And even setting this trick up is very difficult because you have to have perfect air strafing, perfect wall kicks, perfect B-hops.
So close. All right, one more try. One more try. Yeah, this is tech that we're still kind of ironing out, but we figured we'd try it out for the run just because it is cool. Okay, we're not going to get it. Anyway, that's okay. It does save around, I think Albino and I have theorized, like probably around like 8 to 10 seconds if we get it correctly. But yeah, this bridge is just a nightmare. As you can see, time is swapping back and forth really fast, and so we have to be careful to not soft lock. Basically, you saw what happened if we go too fast, and if we go too slow, we lose time. So it's a real balancing act. In any case, I'm glad that we tried it out because it is brand new tech. So this is Effect and Cause Chapter 2. This is, technically speaking, this is one of the more difficult levels in the whole game. We get introduced to probably the coolest single mechanic in almost any game I've played. We finally have access to Anderson's wrist-mounted device, which allows us to swap back and forth between time at will.
And now we have the greatest tooltip of all time.
The greatest tooltip of all time, press V to time travel. So shoutouts to Respawn, by the way, for this level. This is like seriously so cool. You might recognize this mechanic from Dishonored 2, but it is implemented way better here.
It's much more fast and fluid.
It's much more fluid. Yeah. So how this level was built actually was so you see we're swapping back and forth between the present and then the past, and so they're actually two entirely separate levels that are within the box of the game. Like one is way below and one is way above, and so every time we swap between timelines, we're swapping to an entirely different level. So how it was constructed is really cool. There's just a lot of really well thought out, a lot of polish in this game. And so later on, we may actually be able to kind of abuse that and take advantage of it, because Tascanos is going to kill me if I get this wrong. But from what I understand is every time that you swap to the other timeline, time is frozen in the other one, and so we can
Yes, it is.
Okay, thank you. So we can kind of abuse that later on with a pretty cool trick. But as for right now, we're kind of discovering what exactly the IMC was constructing here, why they were defending it so adamantly, and coming to kind of a scary realization. So what Anderson is discovering is that they're building
a Death Star.
They're basically building the Death Star. Yeah, I mean, the story of this game isn't much to write home about. It's basically kind of like Halo meets Star Wars. But the game itself is really, really good, and it's a fun campaign. So yeah, they're building what's called a fold weapon. There's a power source for it called the Arc. We're just kind of learning this as Anderson's feeding the dialogue to us. But we probably have time for like one donation before things kick off again.
Yeah, one donation.
Yeah, we have $200 from Anonymous, who said, such an amazing event with all these amazing people, and now playing such an amazing game. Titans Done Quick is so entertaining to watch. And don't forget to get your employers to match your donations. Thank you to everyone involved. Let's get these bonus games.
Nice. That's a fun little route. That was well done. Okay, coming up here, this is Hell Room. I'm going to be quiet just because it's so difficult.
And we found, what, 4 skips in here that didn't work?
Yeah.
Because there are like 6 separate triggers you have to hit going through this room, and all of our routes missed at least one of them.
Okay, and we got that part, so that was good. This room is insanely difficult. It's so easy to die here. Nice wall kick. And we're going to be using wall kicks again here just to maintain and build speed. Well done, dude. That was a sick Hell Room. It's named Hell Room aptly because, I mean, it's red and orange, and also we die in there all the time. It's a very difficult room. But yeah, like Albino was saying, we found a bunch of different skips in there, but those 2 circular platforms that we passed over, there's a trigger that we have to hit on either one of those, and we found a way to skip usually one or both of them, and it soft locks the game every time. So yeah, that room is very infamous within the Titanfall 2 speedrunning community.
And one interesting thing about this game is actually that, like, when enemies are pushing through doors, they're actually not yet solid, so you can just run through them.
Yeah. So we have the final chapter of Effect and Cause right here. This one is pretty uneventful in terms of tricks and stuff like that, but it does have probably the coolest trick in the entire game that saves us like barely any time. Albino just learned it yesterday, so we'll see if we can pull it off, but this is called Time Stop. So we'll see if we can get it here. Ah, close. Okay, we got that. That means we were just a little bit too late. You saw how the screen just went crazy. That's because the game was basically. You know, I talked about how the level is built, like one is way up above and one's way down below. The game was confused. Oh, we got killed by the Legion. Oh
sometimes that Legion will be very kind and it'll just shoot you with its regular machine gun.
Yeah.
And that will actually give you a damage boost because projectiles do actually manipulate your momentum.
Yeah.
But that time it decided to use one of its Titan abilities and that just instantly kills you.
So what we attempted to do right there was we tried to trick the game into which timeline we were in by activating a time swap and then initiating an animation at the same time. So what would happen is it'd get confused which timeline we were in, and then the game would appear to be stuck in time like this, but not in this section. This is such a cool area of the game.
Yeah, they actually built 3 separate versions of the same map. They built the past, the present, and the
And then this
Frozen.
one. Yeah, so
We
yeah.
kind of broke time.
Yeah, time is broken. But yeah, casually, this was such a sick level. I mean, probably like, I remember when I would tell people it was like the coolest FPS mission I played since Silent Cartographer and Halo CE. So, shoutouts to Respawn for this. It's just I love playing through it every time. So, in any case, we're scanning the Ark with our helmet. We're kind of understanding what makes it tick, and we're trying to figure out how to destroy it now. What we've discovered is that the IMC are building a giant weapon to destroy the militia planet of Harmony. So again, you see the Star Wars similarities there. So if you guys want to get your donations in for the save or rather spare or kill the Marvin, you have probably, I would say, about 10 more minutes to do it. We're coming up on the cutoff for it. So we're coming up on the beacon, and then the kill or spare the Marvin comes up on the beacon chapter 2. So this is the beacon. We're going to try to establish contact with the militia through that big satellite that you see on the load screen there. This is the longest mission in the game, and also is home to the longest chapter, that being the beacon chapter 3. So chapter 1 has a lot of... I hate this chapter. There's not a lot that goes on, but there is a dialogue skip that... I mean, out of all the runners that have ever played this game, we cannot figure it out. We believe it is tied to the actions that we take prior to getting over to this platform here. What we're going to do is, let me backtrack a bit. We're going to basically walk ahead of BT here and walk over to this pad, this platform that you see on the left side here, where all these stalkers are attacking the space. And we're going to go here, and then we're going to run back to BT. And what this is going to do is effectively despawn all the enemies here. We're not entirely sure why it works that way, but it does. And then also, depending on the actions we took prior to this point, we believe that there's going to be a dialogue skip here that's time-based. We used to think there was like a hidden trigger for it, but I think we've pretty much proven that not to be true, because you can stand in one spot and still get the skip. We have to wait till BT talks to get back in him here. We're going to pick up Ronin, which is another really important Titan loadout. And we're going to use what's called a phase dash, which is a way for us to gain speed.
We teleport into another dimension and it makes us go fast.
Pretty much. So now there's like a random dialogue skip coming up here, and we're pretty sure it's... We'll see which one it gets here.
Yeah, we're still
so
not sure how it works.
He got the average one. Yeah, so that's like the average RNG. That's the one that we get pretty much every time. Yeah, we can't figure out how it works, and I mean, I've tried so many times. I think I figure it out, and then I go back and I do the exact same thing over again, and it's different. So it's tough. So all these militia are held up in this base here. We were able to save them, and so now we're going to be waiting around while BT talks to Cole. By the way, this is Captain Cole. He's a jerk.
Yeah, we like to call him Captain Redundancy because all he does is just repeat everything BT says.
He's going to repeat everything BT says and generally just slow us down. We have to wait for him to get done talking a lot of the time. So if you speedrun this game, you hate Captain Cole. There's real no argument there. Anyway, so we probably have time for, I'd say, a couple donations before we start the Beacon Chapter 2.
Skimble Cat donated $50 and said, "Good luck on the Titanfall 2 run." Captain Diablo donated $20 and said, "Love Titanfall 2. Had to donate for one of my favorite shooters of all time, and of course to spare Marvin." Also, Not a Spider with $20 said, "Been waiting all week for this run of the best AAA shooter of the decade, and since most of the incentives are over already, host's choice."
All right, and so I think now would be a good time to cut off the donation for Kill or Spare the Marvin. We're on the Beacon Chapter 2. This level is is one of the most competitive ILs in the community. This is my favorite level to run. It has a really nice flow to it. It's really fast. There's no waiting, and we use lots of wall kicks, lots of really cool movement techniques. So,
and thankfully they made the death walls visible for this first section.
Yeah, that was well done, dude. That was really nicely done.
A long-running meme in the Titanfall 2 speedrunning community is the fact that the death walls are just simply too high.
There's a lot of really finicky death walls in this level. Yeah, or throughout the whole game, rather. Areas that you don't think you should be able to die, but you still die. This is kill room. We have to dispatch these 5 enemies before we're allowed to continue.
I think.
For the store to open. Yeah, we got it. Okay, cool. And so we have the Marvin coming up here, sir. Are we killing him or sparing him?
It turns out that we are sparing the Marvin.
No surprise there. All right.
His fate did raise over $5,000.
Nice.
So
good job, little Marvin.
All right. Just in case I mess up, I'm going to do a quick save here. And
okay.
That way, if I accidentally, out of habit, shoot the Marvin, we can go
Don't
back.
shoot the Marvin, dude. All
and
right.
one cool thing about this is actually, let's wait a minute, because you can actually jump it so that you jump this entire gap. Normally, they want you to go down and around.
Okay.
But if you watch the way the Marvin is moving his gun, you can actually jump all the way across. I was a little bit low on the wall there, though.
Yeah, that's
so
okay.
Let's just load our quick save.
Okay.
Normally with how this level is set up, with how the Marvin spawns, because this Marvin actually only spawns after you do the kill room.
And we're sparing him. He gets to live today, but now you guys have doomed him to an eternity of sadness, so good job.
Return to the control room. We are ready to jumpstart the system.
So shout out to that little Marvin. He'll get to live on, but he doesn't have a dark tool anymore, so he's going to be sad forever. I hope you guys are happy for what you've done, you monsters.
We're going to cloak here because these stalkers like to punch us and fiddle with our momentum.
So coming up here, this is heat sink skip. In terms of air strafing, this is a really difficult skip. It's not going to look like much, but it is very, very hard.
And the skip has a very interesting history with how it was discovered. I was just watching some PC Gamer footage of the game, and they were looking around this room, and I saw that, and I was like, I can make that jump, can't I? And we're going to try for a trick here where that grate that we opened, you can sometimes grab it, and it'll spin you around and just send you flying at about probably 4 or 5 times your normal speed, because you'll basically instantly go through that first section.
It's a one-frame trick. Yeah. So you might have saw after he did heatsink skip, he ran into a little room there on the left. That was so we can hit a trigger so we don't soft lock the game. If we didn't run into that room, there would have been an invisible wall as we were crossing those last few FIAMs. And yeah, we would have soft locked and had to restart the whole level. So that was a solid beacon too. I guess we had the death on the Marvin, but they're on the arc tool room, but that's fine. But yeah, one of the things about this game is it's pretty heavily scripted. It's very easy to soft lock in a lot of areas if you haven't picked that up yet. Generally speaking, if you were to ask, like, couldn't you just do this instead, or couldn't you just do this, it's either there's a death wall, there's an invisible wall, or it's soft locks. There's lots of triggers that we have to hit in a lot of different areas. So coming up here, we're just basically going to restore the power for the beacon. And there's not really a lot going on here. We're going to go into a room where we have to activate a bunch of switches, but we can't actually die in here, so there's no risk. So I would say you have time for quite a few donations.
Yeah, probably like 6 donations, probably.
Something like that, yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. So we're getting a lot from the Titanfall 2 community and new fans alike. So that's great. But first I'll mention, so we've got a big one. A fan gamer donated $5,000. Our sincere thanks to them, and Fangamer said, what, we can unlock Dark Souls and Breath of the Wild? Heck yes! We're splitting this donation up between those 2 goals since they're both favorite games of everyone who works here. Go, go, go! Unlock those games. Love, Fangamer.
Awesome.
And with that, Dark Souls has been unlocked, that bonus run. And now back to the topic at hand. Anonymous donated $170, said, SGDQ makes me pog champ like never before. These runs are insane.
Captain,
Also, we have $5 from Drunk Doctors that stayed up all night to make sure I wouldn't miss Albino's run. Best of luck to all the runners today, and save the Marvin.
Drunk Doc's another runner.
Also, Lex Trucks donating $50, chiming in again. I think they were anonymous earlier. Said, since last donation, I forgot to put my name there. Once more, good luck to you, Albino. Again, this is from Lex Trucks. Good commentary from Brian and the masterful moves from Bino. Kane says, hey guys, Kane here. Again, donation to Albino's choice, but we all know what that would be.
All right, so coming up here we have, we're going to oh, can you move? Okay, that was weird. We're going to be activating Moon Boots. So this is probably the coolest single trick in the whole run. So this was discovered by, again, Mr. Taskinos, our god. Because of the way the game reads flight, we're going to be able to reduce our gravity by 15%. So we're going to wedge ourselves up on this door. We're going to disembark while we're flying. And now we have around like 15% reduced gravity. So as you can see, it looks like we're on, it's kind of like, it looks like we're on the moon. It's called Moon Boots. And so coming up here, this is the single coolest trick in the whole game. This is called Super Fastball. BT is actually going to throw us. That's why it's called Fastball. And because of our reduced gravity, we're going to be able to fly, literally fly over this whole section. We do have a quick save set up in case we don't get it the first time.
Yeah, normally we would hit about that wall is where BT is throwing us. But this way we go just a little bit further.
So we're going to need some serious time for this. This is an insanely difficult trick.
If I go even like 2 inches too far to the left, we will soft block the game.
Trust me.
Got it. All right, and we did not soft lock.
Nice.
If we had this dialogue...
Oh, okay. Darn. All right. So we didn't quite get the full super fastball. That's okay. You got the gist of what happens there. Normally, if we did get it, we would actually fly across this entire section. Unfortunately, that we didn't get it, but it is, like I said, it's an insanely difficult trick. So we're going to just have to navigate our way through here.
The old-fashioned way.
You're going to go the old way. Okay. All right. Yeah, this
really
is one of
old way. I'm not even going to take the riskier old way.
Yeah, Albino's going to use some marathon strats here to play it safe. Yeah, this is one of those levels that's undergone a ton of changes, and one of the reasons why the record has gone down so low. I believe my gold split, before and after Moon Boots is different. Is a difference of around like 1.5 to 2 minutes, and that's just on this level alone. We're going to go around this building here. We normally have to go through it, but we can just kind of take this little run on the outside. So now we have the next really difficult part of this level. This is Grav Star Jump. Gravity stars are a special piece of ordnance that kind of create a gravity well. The gravity well doesn't affect us, and we can use the explosion to launch us. It's similar to a frag boost. I think we got it. Nice job. So we're taking advantage of both Moon Boots and the Gravity Star mechanics there to launch ourselves all the way over across to this beacon, or rather to the module here. We normally have to run into a building and then move the crane over, so that we would be able to jump to it from this platform that we're jumping to right here. Yeah, because of that Grav Star jump, it's a huge time save. So that's way harder than it looks. And I think it looks pretty hard already. So that was well done.
Yeah, you have to be pretty much within like a quarter-second margin of error.
Yeah. All right, so now we're making our way back to BT. We'll be using wall kicks around here just to get back. And again, we're going to be taking advantage of Moon Boots just to do some big jumps here.
Let's pull out our carbine because we are about to enter pretty much the biggest pilot fight of the entire run.
Right. And we have to be careful on the zip line here because these grunts will move faster down the zip line than us. Look behind you. Okay, good. The grunts move faster than us, and they will knock you off and make you fall to your death. It's really frustrating. So first things first, we have to kill a Reaper down here. That's just a big enemy with a lot of health. They're mechs assigned by the IMC to specifically kill pilots and titans.
And one thing you'll note is like with these stalker enemies, they've got a big glowing part on their back. If we shoot
and
that, they'll explode.
Yeah, that's their weak spot. So we're just trying to clear all these enemies as fast as possible. And then we will go ahead and do our next little skip of the game. BT is going to be helping us out as well. He's not the most accurate, though, so we do have to kill most of these guys on our own. got to be careful not to start off an execution animation there.
And
oh, if you can knock out all 3 of those guys, sick. I think you got him. Nice throw. That was cool.
frags are my best friend.
Yes. All right, I think we're good. All right, so now we're going to use more of that wall jump laddering here to get up to the... So normally we'd have to wait for BT to throw us again. You'll actually hear his dialogue say a throw required, or a throw with additional climbing is required, and we're actually just going to climb on our own. So this is more of that wall jump laddering. We're just going to wedge ourselves in this corner and skip an entire climb and a throw, and it's pretty quick. There actually used to be a lot of... There used to be a really high risk of crashing here, but... Again, I've said this a million times. Shout out to the Respawn devs. We've kept up kind of a small dialogue with them on just kind of things that, just kind of issues with the run, and they actually patched out the crash issues here. So that was really cool of them. Yeah.
And this is just a predetermined segment.
Yeah.
With quick saves, how they work, your abilities will actually reset. So we found we could use that to make BT fly permanently and even get him over to that segment that we were just running around in and getting the module from. But even if you leave him there, he'll teleport to catch you here.
All right, so coming up here, we're going to be fighting Richter. There's a couple waves we have to get through before we fight him. Excuse me. 24 years old and my voice still cracks. Feels good, dude.
And this is probably actually the area where the Respawn devs helped us the most.
Yeah, this used to be, we used to think this was super random, but actually depending on where you're standing and where you're looking, you can influence where the enemies spawn. So first off, we're going to arc wave both these stalkers, and then we're going to look over here to spawn the next wave of stalkers. Do the same thing with these first 2. Then switch to tone. And then there's gonna be 2 Titans that spawn, and we're gonna take care of them too. So again, we used to think this was random, and the Titans would spawn on either side of the map, and it would cost us a bunch of time. But yeah, actually, one of the devs, I forget his tag. What is his tag, Albino?
Soupy.
Soupy watched through our submission, and then messaged Albino on YouTube and was like, "Hey, just so you know, you can do this differently." And so it's been a huge help.
Yeah, huge shout out to Soupy. He's also the one who gave us leads on the new dome skip.
Yeah. All right, now we're gonna fight Richter. Oh, he almost got crushed. All right, so this is so annoying. We have a cutscene, and Richter's literally right in front of us. And every time I just think, we could just grab him, but unfortunately, we do have to fight him.
Yeah. And I'm actually going to try and angle him towards that door, because with how we're going to kill him, and that's actually a pretty good angle.
Yep.
We're going to try and pin him, because, oops, did not need to activate point for that.
There, you got it.
We just wanted to stand in this thermite, because it does huge damage over time.
He got unlucky with Richter too. That was a good Richter fight, but Richter wasn't kind to him, unfortunately. So you'll see after we get this Titan bar down, it becomes that kind of like caution type looking health bar, and we got disembark jump. That's what that looks like. That puts a Titan in what's called doomed state, and once they're in doomed state, you can melee them to start an execution animation. Sometimes when Richter enters doomed state,
he'll
just immediately start his self-destruct. But he was being really mean that time, and we had to wait to get his health bar all the way down. Also, by the way, if you pick up the L-Star Albino, you can aim right above Cole's head and then just shoot the crap out of him. It's really satisfying.
I did not know that.
Yeah, so just aim right above his head.
Which one's Cole?
Cole's right there. Just aim right above him. Dude, it's so satisfying. Every time Cole's so annoying, and it's pretty cathartic just laying into him. Yeah. Anyway, so that was the beacon. We're gonna meet back up with Sarah here. We've reestablished contact with the fleet, and we'll continue on with our mission. So we have time for a couple of nations now while we wait for Sarah to be really condescending toward us.
All right. Well, first of all, $100 from Marvin, who said, "Thank you for letting me live." Also, we have $50 from Drake, who says, "Awesome to see my favorite game and favorite streamer, GDQ. Big thanks to all my coworkers who raised money for this event. 1 hour 27 hype?"
Thanks, Drake.
And I wanted to mention that we have opened a new incentive related to that Dark Souls bonus run. There's now a file named Bid War Open if you'd like.
Request permission to retain this link.
See, we have $50 from Anonymous. It says, shout-outs to Albino, Brian, and Kathy for being super cool roommates for this GDQ. Sad I can't be there to watch in person. Also, shout-out to Dax if he's chilling in the crowd.
I actually have carrots. All right, so in case anyone just didn't tune in earlier, there was a donation that somebody said they would donate more if I chewed carrots in the mic. I'm so sorry. I can't believe I'm doing this. Okay. I hope you're happy, Hunter. All right. Okay, I gotta commentate this.
No,
okay.
I could just read more. No.
Okay. All right. I'll chew more later, I promise. Okay, so hold on.
All right, so this is Trial by Fire. It's essentially all-out Titan combat.
Yeah, I believe the dev code for the development code for this level was actually T-Day, as in Titan D-Day. So this level is totally bottlenecked by Sarah. She's the commander of the militia, or the Marauder Corps there. She's a huge bottleneck. Everything that we do in this mission is going to be so Sarah doesn't lag behind and basically slow us down. This level is very difficult. We have to dispatch a certain amount of enemies, or a certain set of enemies, so we can continue on here. So are you going to use the sword block thing?
Yeah, just wait until I add
okay.
shields.
So this is a Ronin ability called Sword Block. It blocks 75% of all incoming damage, which is pretty sick. And what we can use that to basically walk through these turrets, and then walk right through that wall. It gets destroyed, so it's not actually a physical object. So we got to get back here behind the spawn. We're going to switch to Scorch here. And then we're going to use our Flame Wall on these guys, and Flame Core. So every Titan has a core ability. Think of a core as like an ultimate, from like Overwatch or League of Legends or something. And every Titan has a different one. And so Scorch's is pretty unique and useful to us in that it does a huge wave of AoE damage. So that's pretty nice. So we're just trying to get rid of these enemies as fast as possible, especially these ones right here, these ions. They have what's called Laser Core, which is really dangerous to us. I'm about to have some trouble navigating through the menu there. It actually does a ton of damage to us, so we want to get rid of those guys as fast as possible. We're trying to kill a certain set of enemies so that Sarah will say, "Pilot, you're with me." And once she does that, it's seemingly really random. It's so annoying. Sarah just like ruins this entire level. And we still have a lot of enemies over here, so this is going kind of rough. We got to be careful not to die either. We want to be picking up those little green things on the ground, those batteries. Those are going to... They're basically health packs, more or less. If we can get around the Stalker... Wow, that was close. Wow. So again, we're still waiting for Sarah to use her dialogue. We haven't killed the enemies that she wants killed, so... unfortunately. Oh, wow. What's up, guys? That should be good, right? Pilot, you're with me? Sarah's so annoying, dude. We hate Sarah.
That brute managed to dodge my flame core, looks out.
Yeah.
And another cool thing is, actually,
there
in
it
the
is.
multiplayer patch, they reduced the rate at which you build up your Titan's core. But for the campaign, to help make this level more consistent, they actually reversed that change so that we get our core just as quickly as we used to.
And that's just Respawn being awesome developers again. So coming up here, again, we have to play around Sarah. So we have to kill, we got to kill the Scorch first off. There's going to be a Stalker behind him that we have to take care of.
And we're actually going to be using Ronin's Sword Core ability, because as you can see from our boost bars, they've turned gold, and that is to indicate the fact that they are actually recharging at a significantly faster rate now, so we can cover much more territory.
And I guess Albino's not going to be clearing out the grunts. He's gonna gamble here, basically, that Sarah's going to catch up to him. And generally, if you go at a slow enough pace through here, Sarah will catch up, but she has a chance to get caught up on all of the grunts and all of the stalkers back there. If we do get lucky, we won't have to worry about that. And it looks like Sarah's being a jerk, so we're going to have to go back and capture her. So this is the gamble. Okay, she's actually considerably far ahead. That's okay. So again, yeah, Sarah is a huge bottleneck here. This level it's extremely difficult, especially.
We found about 3 different ways to skip waiting for this elevator,
Yeah.
but they all soft block the game.
That reminds me, if anybody can figure out how to skip having to wait for Sarah to get to this elevator and having to get beat, if you can figure out a way to get around this elevator and like get to the end of the level and hit the end level trigger, I will like PayPal you $20. I'm not even joking. Like, please figure out a way to skip this level, for the love of God. That would be like so awesome. I mean, we hate Trial by Fire a lot, so. I'm not joking, by the way. I will PayPal you $20. So anyway, we're gonna abuse Sword Core here, and like Albino said before, it recharges our boost at a rapid rate, and so we just can use that to kind of cheese this whole level. And then once we get over here, we're actually gonna rebuild our Sword Core.
Just gonna swing the sword because in campaign, when you swing your sword, it actually uses up 1/3 of your Sword Core bar, and that way I can start building up my core off these guys, and then just come over here and finish it off.
And then we gave Sword Core again. Yeah.
And
we got a huge damage boost. Nice, dude.
Yeah. And these Reapers can be a real pain because sometimes they'll decide to just completely block your path and just eat your phase dash.
Nice.
And yeah, now it's just a matter of making a straight run to the finish.
Yep. So this was a pretty rough Trial by Fire, but that just goes to show you like how much of a bottleneck Sarah can be for this. So we got the Superman Brute. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, sometimes that Brute just decides to go crazy. And
yeah,
fly
I don't know why he
end.
does that, and then he just disappears.
This is Sloan. The Ark is headed your way. I'll let Viper take it from here. See you soon.
So we really have time for a donation or two before we get on to the next level.
Yeah, Stinky number 1 donated $30 and said Titanfall 2 is unarguably my favorite game, and I'm so happy to see it get any form of publicity. Also, I've been scheduling my breaks at work to see as much of SGDQ as I can this year. Good luck to Albino, and thanks to everyone who organized this fantastic event. Also, $250 was received from Man Blair Pig, who said, had to donate for one of my top games of 2016.
So, coming up here, this level is called the Ark. You ask any speedrunner what their least favorite level is, and without hesitation, they will say the Ark. This level, thanks to a skip that was discovered by Taskanos, it opens with a can of worms of just like bugs and weird glitches and soft locks. All sorts of bad things can happen.
And a lot of just pure RNG,
and
whether or not you get it.
This is also home to one of the most difficult boss fights in the game as well. This section here is just on rails. It doesn't matter if we shoot these guys or not.
We can just stand around shooting BT all day if we want.
Yeah, but we're going to get introduced to the next member of the Apex Predators coming up here. So I'll take some time to talk about Barker Skip. So Barker Skip, Albino is going to be doing the random version of it. Albino's been on a bit of a break from this game, and he just came back, and so the new Barker Skip is really, really hard. So he's going to be doing like the random version of it. So this is Viper. He's like the perfect anime villain. He's like just the right blend of like cool and edgy. You know, he's a cool guy. We're going to be fighting him later on. So coming up here, this is Barker Skip. What we're going to be doing is we would normally have to wait for BT to throw us to another ship. But we can actually, here's Barker. We can actually jump off of Barker's ship to the ship that BT is going to throw us to. We would normally use a frag boost for this as a consistent method of it, but the frag boost is really difficult. So Albino's going to take a gamble here and see if we can get it first try with the RNG involved. Barker's ship moves left and right randomly, and so does the 6-4 ship that we're jumping to. So we'll see if we can get this.
It's... No.
Okay, we'll just load a save then. So second try Barker would be good.
You can do this, Cooper.
We came prepared for this eventuality. Bad angled on that one.
Yeah.
This is a save. I know where we have the skip. It's just you got to get the angle right.
And this skip is such a pain. That looks good. Oh man, 6-4 is being rude, dude.
I think I'm hitting the left and right movement is the problem.
Oh man,
bad angle.
Let's say give it a couple more tries, yeah.
And if I still can't pull it off in a couple more tries, no.
There we go.
Here.
Okay, there's 6. Okay, so that's Barker Skip. There's a way to make that consistent by kind of plopping a grenade on the ground, but it's really, really difficult. try and get 6-4 skip here.
Oh!
Nice, dude. All
We
right.
bounced off the wall, so our double jump actually reset there. Otherwise, we would have actually just fallen to our death.
All right, so that's Barker skip, and it's immediately followed by another really random skip called 6-4 skip, which we saw right there. Those are two really insanely hard jumps back to back. One of the reasons why this level is so hated, and they both have their own little elements of randomness in them. So coming up here, we're going to have to clear these gun batteries. We can actually run through the first two and then just kill the last guy, and then the game register it as you clearing all the gun batteries, so that's pretty nice. So we'll just put on our stealth and then get a couple wall kicks through here. So we clear this last battery, and if we're fast enough, the game will actually despawn all the enemies that are in the other parts of the level. So if we can go fast enough here.
Yeah, and throughout
Nice, good job.
And another thing to note about this fight is that you want to be constantly in midair or in wall runs, because if you're standing on the ground, your character will go through a stumbling animation that will waste a lot of time.
Yeah, and with that stumbling animation too, if you're standing next to a wall, you can actually clip into the wall and like instantly die.
And this up here is called early Sarah jump, where you jump up when you see the ship move.
Whew.
And you have to actually use your double jump because, like we mentioned earlier, the death walls are very, very high in this game, and so
yeah, similar to Halo, there is like a fall timer that if you fall for too long, the game will just kill you.
let's try to find some fire stars, because for some coming up enemies, we will want them to just get quick kills.
Right, and so this is room clear. There's a certain set of enemies we have to kill as fast as possible. One of those being these three guys that spawn in right here. We can just use fire stars for them. And then there will be some stalkers that'll fall down. We usually need to take out one or two grunts here. Yeah, and there will be some stalkers that'll fall down, and we need to take care of those as well. And then generally, if we do that, the 6-4 will take care of the rest.
Get over here, stalker.
Oh, in case you're wondering who the 6-4 are, we didn't really introduce them. They're kind of an elite group of, not necessarily mercenaries, they're just an elite group of pilots that kind of fight for whatever they believe is the right cause. Oh my gosh, that was really close to death. So,
yeah,
after
that
taking out
L-Star does a lot of damage.
Yeah. I think they're... Okay, so the 6-4 took care of the rest. So that was room clear. Now we gotta wait for... Sometimes Gates can take her sweet time getting up here.
Looks like she will be doing that today.
Yeah, thanks, Gates. I love when they're climbing up and they say, try to keep up, Coop. It's my favorite. Took you long enough, Gates. All right. So this is your generic breach and clear sort of part of any military shooter. We don't actually have to kill anyone, though.
Yeah, so we'll just be running up to that command console up there.
Yeah. Oh, and fun fact, those breach charges share the same model as the tether traps on North Star. So we're going to be using our data knife here to pilot the ship. The data knife is a very masculine piece of equipment. You stab things and then you hack it. So it's a very masculine piece of equipment. So the game wants us to steer the ship right behind the Draconis over here. It can be kind of finicky with where exactly it wants you to put it. And Barker Skip can sometimes
break everything.
Can sometimes just totally break this. Yeah, there will be times when you can get the ship right behind the Draconis and it doesn't work. And we have to walk really far away from the window here. Because of Barker Skip, if we stand next to the window, the game will crash to main menu for whatever reason. I think Tascanos knows why, but I don't know the exact reasoning for that. So Albino's just playing it safe.
It's basically, from my understanding, is that it's the scripting thinks that you're trying to climb into BT's hand.
Oh, that makes sense. Okay, yeah.
And normally we actually would not have that Titan loadout we started out with, because normally we don't pick it up. But this time we do, because with our safety save, it was just loaded from the main menu. And if you load from the main menu, it gives you all the loadouts that would have been unlocked on previous levels.
So this is Viper Fight. Viper Fight can be, it's tough. So we're going to have to take care of these two Scorches first. Fortunately, the splash damage on Tone's gun can also grant missile locks, and we're going to use that to, like you said.
And you can
I didn't know you could do that!
Yeah, you can kind of punch that Titan off the side of the ship.
I have never seen that happen before. That was actually sick.
Viper, get down here.
Okay, so now Viper is being really rude. He's going to jump back and forth randomly, and we're just trying to get close to him so we can sword core him. There we go. Okay, this should be good. Okay, so Viper can... Yeah, Viper's just a jerk, and
Yeah, I'm just going to switch over to Expedition because it's a hit scan weapon, so...
Yeah. Trying to swap reloading can be kind of difficult.
It's easy when you got 2 loadouts. It's
that single missile did the trick. Nice.
And yeah, Viper is the single-handedly the hardest fight in the entire game.
I mean, Sloan can be debatably harder, but yeah, I mean, Viper can be inherently pretty random, as you saw. You can use Sword Core sometimes to actually just 3-shot him, but I mean, you have to have his health and shields at a very certain area to do that. Otherwise, when he hits a certain health point, he will automatically just fly up and start using his core.
Fun fact, once Viper comes in to hit you, it actually will refill all of your ammo, and that's very useful for what's about to happen.
So, yeah, I just want to say, speaking of like the polish on this game, this fight right here is so well choreographed. I think it just looks really sick. He just rips off his arm, and then Viper's animation here. It's just, I love this fight.
But you do have to be careful to double jump here because you can get hit by the hatch.
Yeah.
And then we're just going to throw a bunch of fire shurikens into him.
And Viper's dead. So, yeah, the rest of this level is pretty much on rails here. It's an auto-scroller. So I think we have time for donations while we wait for it.
Great. We have $150 from Sandy Puddle, who claims greatest solo couch of all time.
Thank you.
Wishing the runner good luck from Dubai. And $50 from Anonymous, who says, BT might be terrible at shortcuts, but you guys definitely aren't.
It's true.
Great Titanfall run so far. Here we've got $5 from Jabai, who says, shout out from the Titanfall pickup Discord.
Hey.
You're both doing great. Keep it up. Here's a $25 donation from Alt F4 Games. They say, good to see someone's pushing Titanfall 2 to its limits. One of the best AAA shooters I've ever played.
Agreed.
Mage donated $35 and said, I'm insanely impressed by this speedrun. Titanfall 2 is my favorite FPS since Halo Reach. Seeing this game get annihilated is just awesome.
We need to get off the ship. We are running
And Soupy donated $250.
Hey.
Thank you. Said, love the Titanfall run. You guys are great. Amazing skills and great commentary. You blow us away with what you've done with the game. Keep it up.
And that was Soupy. That was the dev we were chatting on earlier. Thank you, Soupy.
And of course, $50 from Anonymous, who says, so much fun watching Titanfall 2. Loving the commentary, Brian Otto.
Thank you.
I think we all need another carrot. Kappa.
We do have, okay, I'll get one more carrot.
No, he did Kappa.
Okay,
I'm
right.
sorry.
Oh,
Yep.
you're right.
Yep.
Thank you for noticing that. I was about to go in on that. I'm so happy you just called that Kappa for me.
No, you do you.
I'm good on carrots, dude. Yeah, I don't want to embarrass myself anymore. All right, so this is the final mission of the game. This was also home to another one of the really long cutscenes. This is probably the second longest cutscene in the game, aside from the first one, that in BT7274. So, unfortunately, we have tried to talk with the devs about maybe having some option to skip cutscenes, but we've been told that it could mess up so many different issues with like scripting in the game and stuff like that it just hasn't been done, which is totally understandable. But we do have to wait through them, unfortunately. So we've been captured by the Apex Predators. BT has the power source for the fold weapon within his cockpit. So we're trying to get out of him right now. We're going to use the edgy dialogue option here.
No, the sarcastic one is actually a little bit faster.
Albino and I have our disagreements with which one's the edgy one here, I guess. So.
About what? His feelings?
I'm pretty sure it's arguable to say that the one saying open that hatch when he's dead is much edgier than about what, his feelings?
He doesn't open up. I will shoot you in the head.
And I believe, speaking of the District 9,
Pilot in jeopardy.
the District 9 influence, I believe that Blisk was directly influenced by, I believe, one of the main enemies from District 9. I might be wrong, but I feel like during one of the Respawn plays, developer commentary things, they mentioned something about that. I don't remember. One of the reasons why I love this game so much is District 9 is one of my top 3 favorite sci-fi films of all time, and it's kind of nice seeing the influence on it here.
And up here we're going to see BT being a sneaky Titan.
Yeah.
I'm going to shoot your pilot in the head. You still remember numbers, don't you? I'm going to count to 3.
Also, shout outs to JP Blanc, the voice actor for Blisk. I love your work, dude. Blisk is my favorite character by it's not even close.
And coming up, keep a close eye on the bottom right corner of the screen.
Oh yeah, so Blisk will actually like, he's gonna do some flips and he'll actually clip into the ground. It's hilarious.
And you can actually, on an ultra-wide panel, which is what I normally play on, you can actually see it for much longer.
Yeah, there he went.
But as far as the story goes right now, BT is essentially trying to kill all of the guards so that you can escape. And this was just a very well constructed scene overall, because it makes you hate the IMC and Sloan so well. Just that desperate grab from BT.
Yeah, cinematically this is very well done. Yeah, rip BT. Press F to pay respects, chat. And so we have to wait for a bit of dialogue here, so we'll probably have time for a donation or two.
All right, we have $50 from Anonymous who said, I said I was hoping we'd double all donations on the last day, like at SGDQ. So here's another $50 in honor of the memory of my big bro and my new favorite speedrun, Titanfall 2. Also, $20 from another anonymous donor who said, hey guys, months back when I saw Titanfall 2 was on the SGDQ schedule, I was super excited. I've dabbled in speedrunning the game, and I'm glad to see certain tricks that I thought of cropping up. Good luck to the runner, and respect, Marvins. Also, Clicking Andy donated $10 and said, props to Couch Guy commentating faster than Eminem rapping. Also, chat, spread the love. Twitch unity.
So right here, we're actually getting the most hated weapon in all of Titanfall, the Smart Pistol.
Unless you're low-key DB Josh. Yeah.
So true. It's essentially, you get a pistol that has a built-in aimbot.
Yeah. Albino has a deep hatred for it. So this is the Seer kit. It is the Survive, Evade, Resist, Escape kit is exactly what it stands for, which you'll see from the little mission objective here. So now we don't quite have access to our jump kit yet, and then we have to be really careful. So our jump kit is technically like
rebooting.
Is rebooting. It's overheated. We have to be really careful in this section here because if we die, we have to sit through that entire cutscene again. And
yeah, we would have to fully restart the level. We got the checkpoint, but the trigger for having your jump kit reinitialize actually does not trigger if you respawn. And like I was saying about this pistol having a built-in aimbot, just you see all the locks and just you don't have to aim at all.
Yeah, but how this was done
in the campaign,
in the casual playthrough, just you're delivered this smart pistol after you see like your best buddy get eviscerated. It's really satisfying just to run through all these enemies and just blow the crap out of them with this thing. Yeah.
And we're actually going to spam fire here because there was one of those shield guys, and their shields will actually have a slowing down and stunning effect on you. So we wanted to just blast through that so we didn't lose any momentum.
We have to be careful of those drone fire too, or that drone fire, because that'll slow you down pretty significantly.
Normally they want us to go through this door, but honestly, it's just more fun to wall run on these cables.
Yeah.
And now we're going to specifically not go in the direction of the objective so we can grab that cable and maintain our height so that we can bunny hop across this roof
Nicely done.
as we call on our Titan. And as I mentioned in the first level, with them leaving in lots of foreshadowing, this Titan is actually the same one you were calling in at the end of Captain Lastimosa's simulation.
In the first mission of the game, yeah.
And now that we got PT back, we're actually just going to run around him so that we can embark. Normally there's a lot of dialogue and a special first-person embark animation. Oh,
yeah, just so you guys understand what happened there, when BT gave us the Seer kit, it also gave us his data core. His data core is basically like, it's basically the consciousness of a Titan, and we're able to just basically remove that from the destroyed chassis that was BT and now put it back in this new one. So we're going to do some sword core cheese again here. We're going to build up core as fast as possible. We got 65% there. That's really good.
Yeah, and one thing to note is that when Titans first drop in, their health bar will be yellow, and that is to indicate that they cannot take damage for their first couple seconds on the field.
Yeah.
So you'll actually wait until that Titan that drops in is in a normal health state so that you can use the Arc Wave, because it will just go through all enemies without slowing down or losing damage potential. So every Titan you hit with it will be confirmed 15% on your core.
So this trick right here actually has a lot of history to it. That Titan that you see firing at us down the way, this used to be the most random trick in the entire game that would cost you upwards of a minute. That's door skip. So basically, we used to have to try and position that Titan to get wedged into the door there, so the game would recognize that there's an enemy at the door, so they need to open up.
That was close. I think that Spectre missed and hit the ground in front of it because those have rocket launchers that they can dumbfire at you.
Yeah. So for door skip, we actually accidentally, I forget who it was, someone accidentally discovered that you can kind of clip into the door, and then Albino figured out that if you just go to the top of the door, you can walk right through it. So this run used to have a lot of randomness right at the end, but thanks to the tech that we found with Barker Skip and Door Skip, it's become a lot more consistent, which is again another reason from the record going from a 132 all the way down to a 126 in the course of a few months. So this is Sloan Fight. Sloan Fight is we have a pretty high risk of death, generally speaking. Sloan is an Ion, so she has that laser core I was talking about back on Trial by Fire.
And she can also cheese it.
Yeah, and she can double fire it, which is pretty unfair. So it has 3 phases. We have to wait for her to teleport away. So now we're going to
and this is again going to be more of that spawn manipulation like we did on the Beacon Chapter 3.
Yep.
Now that we have our flame core, we're just going to try and nuke both of the Titans, but I do not know where the Brute went.
You don't have to kill the Brute. He can live, but yeah, so now we took care of the Scorch, and now Sloan should be coming back. It's just a matter of finding where she appeared. And she's right there, which is a pretty good spot for her.
So what we're going to do is we're just going to try and hide behind this corner while she laser cores, just leave her in our thermite.
Well done. All right, so now we have three more Reapers that are going to spawn in. And we're going to make quick work of these guys. Get a lock on them and a Missile Barrage that kills them pretty much every time unless they do some weird dodging. And now we have the final phase of Sloan coming up. And so we're going to use the similar tactic. We're going to wait for her to use her core and then ignite the traps because she can't move while she has the core going.
And we're also going to switch to Tone because she actually takes less damage from your thermite.
All right. So that was Sloan Fight. So this is the home stretch. This is another one of those long cutscenes. Yeah, that was a really, really good Sloan Fight. It's really nice that she doesn't move when she does laser core. So that fight has gone under a couple different iterations of optimization. So that's the most recent one.
And this is a pretty long cutscene, so we probably got time to read a few donations.
Yeah, for sure. Don't forget to hold W.
Okay, I'll throw a few in for you. Navari donated $150 and said, "Is this Titanfall 2 or a Sonic first-person game? This run has some serious rail jumps. Gotta go fast." And Legend HOA donated $50 saying, "Awesome Titanfall 2 run and an awesome event this year."
You don't get to kill me.
We also have a $20 donation from Slippo who says, "This week has been awesome and the upcoming games will blow my mind. Can't wait for the last night. We need that Breath of the Wild run. Greetings from Finland." Here's a $50 donation from S Guy who says, "Hey all, had an amazing week watching. Thanks to everyone for this entertainment. Let's get that Breath of the Wild speedrun on the schedule."
Oh, and while we have a moment, a buddy of mine promised he would donate $5 if I told Albino to go faster. So that was for charity, just so you guys know. So Ethereal, you owe us $5.
So yeah, coming up is actually the final dialogue option that you should always take because if you do not,
so depressing if you don't.
You get just the saddest line from BT.
I mean, you have to hold W here to assist BT in getting to this final section here. I've lost way too many seconds not holding W on this part. So
yeah, in runs I've actually gotten to where I've failed the checkpoint because I went to get a drink for the cutscene, and when I came back it was like, you failed to stop the fold weapon.
So yeah, and this is kind of our last desperate attempt to destroy the fold weapon before it fires. at the Militia Planet of Harmony, and so we are going to launch ourselves into it.
Don't worry, BT.
Or so we think.
I'm not going anywhere.
Copy that, pilot.
But yeah, we actually didn't mention that these Titans are bound by 3 protocols. First off, they need a pilot because without a pilot, a Titan is not nearly as effective. Then they got to make sure that they get the job done. And lastly, make sure the pilot survives, even if it costs them their life. And that's why BT basically pulled us out of his cockpit and
Makes
threw
the
us
ultimate
away.
sacrifice. All right, and this is the home stretch. So time is going to be when you see the pistol disappear and Cooper starts flailing his arms. So as soon as we lose control of Cooper.
And this is actually a very cool segment, not just because there are all
Yeah.
the flying platforms, but because of the tech. It's like,
I love how Albino does that. So yeah, you normally have to wall run on that stuff there, but you can just fall. And it'll skip to the next area. So this section here is also really cool if you can get it. Oh, okay, not quite. That's fine.
and this
Oh, there
jump
we go.
here, where we skip this and get hopefully a crazy speed boost,
Nice.
was actually discovered on accident when
Time.
Your time was 1:35:33.
Dude, that's a sick
Nice.
time. Okay, so we normally time by in-game time in this game. So I imagine a 132 is something around like a 135 is something around like a 132 or 133. So that's a really, really good time.
that it is.
Yeah, well done, dude. So that was Titanfall 2. We have like a million shoutouts. Do you want to get your shoutouts in?
All right, yeah, first is to Lex and his LPR community who donated earlier. Just a cool, chill gaming community.
Pilot Cooper.
Yeah, I have a million I want to do, so I'll get them through them as fast as I can. I want to give a shout out to the competitive community over in the Discord, Ethereal, Jabai, Frothy Omen, all those guys. Been a pleasure playing with you. I want to shout out the speedrunning community, specifically S Deception and Taskinos for the optimizations they found. Shout out to my wife Cavi back on the couch back there. Who else? I know I'm forgetting something. Oh yeah, if you guys want to speedrun this game, seriously, we have so many resources for you. You can find our Discord on the speedrun.com page for Titanfall 2. We have an entire Google document with all of our known tech. We have a super helpful community. We would love more people speedrunning this game. It's really sick. So if you guys enjoyed it, I hope you did that. Also, be sure to check out Albino. I mean, he streams on YouTube all the time. He does some good stuff. I think he's going to be picking up Near Automata, stuff like that. So.
Pilot Jack Cooper, signing off.
Yeah. And there's a fun little Easter egg after all the credits roll through here where your helmet actually starts blinking, and people have decoded it where it is your helmet blinking, I think in either Morse code or binary, your character's name. So a lot of people in the community are theorizing that when BT backed up his AI in affecting cause, it never got removed from your helmet, so your Titan is still alive in your helmet.
Anyway, yeah, that was Titanfall 2. Thank you guys for watching. Yeah, good run, Albino. That was sick, dude.